Welcome back. This is our fifth session of our discussion with Senator Tim Scott and Congressman Trey Gowdy on the power of unlikely friendships. In our last session, we talked about the power of friendships to create change. Today, we're discussing what working together towards a brighter future looks like. So Trey, let's take a step back. Do you really believe that friendships can transform our world?
I think friendship has the best chance of transforming our world. You can legislate and make people conform their conduct. No piece of legislation can change someone's heart. They passed a law at some point that said you two guys are going to go to school together. They can't pass a law that says you two guys are going to be friends with each other. That has to come from friendship. That has to come from someplace other than government. Look, there's a role for conforming people's conduct. But how great would it be if our motivation weren't the fact that somebody had a rule or a regulation or a law? It's just this innate belief that we have more in common with one another than we think if we just take the time to hear someone out. There are going to be rocky points. There are issues upon which we disagree. I'm sure that there are days he doesn't think I'm all that funny, even though I can't think of one right now. It's not nirvana. I mean, marriage isn't nirvana. What it is an intentional decision that we are going to be friends no matter what. And if that means we got to discuss something, if that means that I said something inartfully, if that means that I was 15 minutes late and that impacted him in a negative way, we're going to be friends at the beginning of that conversation, we're going to be friends at the end of that conversation. But there's no law that can make people care about one another. That has to come from someplace else, and to me that someplace else is friendship.
You know, one might think that two members of government getting together to talk about important things, you would write a book on government reform or the changing culture, technology, any number of issues. Why unlikely friendships? Why is that the focus for you guys?
I think we both realized that if we were going to write a book on politics, that it would be a short book, and B, a book that very few people would want to read if they were looking for ways to change the world. I don't think politics is the way you change the world. I think you change the world through the heart condition. I think the Bible is very clear that love is not an emotion. Love is a commandment. Friendship is born out of that concept of love, unconditional acceptance. And what Trey has described is that notion of unconditional acceptance. It's not a conditional, it's not situational, it is consistent. If we're going to change the world, I'm very bullish on our future. If we're going to change this world, it's going to happen one relationship at a time. It's going to happen by all of us stepping outside of our comfort zones and working towards new experiences in new ways and enjoying the freshness of life. That requires us to do things that seem uncomfortable at the beginning. Most of the most exciting adventures I've ever been a part of, they didn't start off being fun. They were hard. There's an old saying that says, what's hard gets easier and what's easier gets harder. Do the hard things first and then enjoy the benefit, as opposed to doing the easy things first and paying the price.
Well, one could argue that your job is really to find ways to build bridges and to create solutions to some of these complex problems. But Tim, speak to the person who may be watching in their living room, and that's not their job, but to the value and importance of building bridges and having these friendships in their life.
Well, if you're not paid to solve problems, thank God, because I'll tell you the truth, the hardest jobs in the world are the ones that you're paid to find a solution that doesn't exist. I think most of us are all problem solvers. We do it every single day. Some of the decisions are hard, some of the decisions are easy. What I've learned in life is that if the great things that we want for our future, it doesn't happen in Washington, it doesn't even happen in church. It happens in small groups or in small settings where relationships are built. That's the genius of who we are. It's the genius of how our great creator, the Lord himself, wired us. We are hardwired for relationships. And when we enter into those relationships, we'll find the magic or the solution, the miracle is within the midst of that relationship. And I think it's in Matthew 18 where he talks about when two or three are touching and agreeing, there I am in the midst of them. That is a powerful formula. He didn't say when Congress is in session. He didn't say when you're in church on Sundays. He said when 2 or 3 are touching, in other words, coming to a position of oneness on a topic, there I am in the midst of them. That sounds like a solution to me. I invite your group to discuss these questions further. What does a brighter future mean to you? What positive change do you envision for yourself, your church, or your community?